Hello and welcome to the Devil's Trident podcast, a podcast about bloody Manchester United. I'm Simon, I'm here with Matt.
Hello.
And I'm here with James.
Hi everybody.
And compared to recent podcasts, the mood is down. United have fallen at the quarter-final hurdle, which makes a refreshing change from going out in the semi-finals. That meme is flying around Twitter tonight. The guy pointing to his temple.
Oh, yeah.
Can't go out with the semi-finals
if you don't get there.
There you go. A shame as well, because the one time that you get a semi-final draw that looks like you could get through it, you don't get through the quarter-finals, which is just vintage Manchester United at the moment. But yeah, 3-1 at the King Power, and it was pretty much an awful performance. I think just generally across the board, not much to write home about that was good for United, a lot to write home about that was bad. What are your thoughts on the game, Matt?
Not to go completely anti-Tate on the whole thing, but it was pretty piss poor. And you know what's really annoying is the fact that obviously midweek we were speaking about my my good luck charm, Slabhead 2.0, the doppelganger that I see every time I go for a run that I've not seen in a couple of months, but then saw her on Thursday morning. Saw him on Friday morning, so I was positive. I was thinking, yeah, that's it, we're going to win on Sunday, and also we didn't win. So Slabhead 2.0 can get in the bin now.
Yeah, he's done. He has no idea about any of this.
So he doesn't. So unlucky for him, he's probably not even a United fan. Doesn't know who I am or anything that involves me or this podcast. But I've disowned him now. We're no longer friends. He's no longer my fellow DJ. Just really disappointed with everything that came out of that game. I'm not real. I think there's only one positive I can take from this game was the fact that when Bruno came on, he actually looked like Bruno. But again, he can't carry the whole team again. So, frustrating as hell. And I was hoping for something more from this game, and we didn't get any of it. So, not happy. Not happy at all.
Yeah, we're all pretty optimistic, I think, with our predictions. Not overly optimistic, not like... Well, yours was 3-1, actually.
That was the wrong way around, though.
That was the wrong way around. Mine and James's were more cautious, probably as ever. I had 2-1 to us, and James had 1-0 to us, but it was never going to be that, was it? I mean, the first 10 minutes or so, I thought we were all right. We were some good link-up play, Pogba and Martial looking lively and at it. But then after 15 minutes, it was pretty much all Leicester.
It was. I mean, this game, I hated it. I thought it was don't want to sound like Simon Cowell, but it was a poor performance that started badly and it got worse. But the thing is, Ollie did have a second song with him, luckily, because that all changed, didn't it? 4 substitutions later on. I'm sure we'll get to that. But no, this was pretty bad. I mean, if aliens were to come down and say, show me Man United at their worst, I'd put this game on, complete with Jermaine Jenas commenting on it, of course, because, just make it twice as bad. And then I'd ask the aliens more questions. Do you not want to know about anything else? We've got lots of cool stuff down here, Sellotape.
This isn't what you want to see.
What about when United was good?
No.
Just when the bad. That's all I want to see.
Slinkies.
Slinkies.
Yeah, we've got all binders. We've got loads of cool stuff. No, it was bad, and it was just all of our playbook of horrible things that we do. We give possession away. We make it easy for teams. We just make stupid, unforced errors, and there's just okay. We got a goal, which was great. It was a good goal, but apart from that, pretty toothless up front. And I think Harry Maguire had most of our chances today.
With his pile driver.
Pile driver. Oh my! They don't understand wrestling or football. That was definitely not a pile driver. I have never seen The Undertaker do a tombstone pile driver like that.
For anybody that didn't watch, I think it was on BT and BBC, if I'm not
simulcast.
mistaken.
More wrestling.
Yes. On the BBC commentator commented on Harry Maguire's shot from outside the box with Harry Maguire with a pile driver, in which Jermaine Jenas did not agree with, and he was, to be fair, for once, he was right.
Yeah, I agreed with him.
Giving the ball away is definitely one of the biggest problems that we saw today, and it is one of those things that just keeps coming back to haunt us. Fred, like he did in the first half against Milan, just couldn't pass the ball, couldn't retain possession at all. However good he is off the ball, it comes up a lot, this, and it came up in a big way today with that pass back. He he didn't put anything on it, and we're playing ourselves into trouble playing out from the back again, and it was awful. And he kind of saw it coming as soon as they started playing out from the back at that point. Like Matic's ball, was it Matic's ball or Maguire who played it to him?
Maguire played it to Fred.
Maguire played it to Fred, yeah. And he didn't look like he wanted it, to be fair, but even still, he could have got it back to Henderson with a bit more force, and it shouldn't have been an issue.
No, my question in this position is like, normally when we see like we have two defensive midfielders, we normally have like one of them who like drops back into almost like the middle of our centre backs, right? But when we have Scott and Fred, they normally like rotate it. But then if Matic plays that role, it's always Matic that drops back in that position, because I think he's a lot more calmer on the ball. And he's a lot better at taking the ball and distributing it. Whereas today, it seemed like Fred was doing that, which you wouldn't trust Fred at all to do that. So why did we think that was a good idea to let him do that? Surely if anyone's going to be coming like back a bit and helping the defence out to try and move the ball forward, it'd be Matic not doing it instead of Fred doing it. But it wasn't. So like the writing was on the wall there. If you're going to have Fred do that kind of stuff, then you know that good stuff going to happen. And like Connie says this every single week, like people, when you play out from the back, the mistakes are going to be there eventually. And I think we've got lucky over the past few weeks by playing the same way we've been playing it and not being caught out. But all it took today was a cup game, especially, for it to happen, and we go 1-0 down, and subsequently we go out of the cup. So yeah, I don't know what the train of thought was there. I mean, Maguire maybe shouldn't have pressed to Fred, but Fred's pass to Henderson was just abysmal, and that kind of stuff isn't forgivable, really. Like,
it was a surprise to see him last the whole game today, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did Solskjaer think that he could still play a big part in that game? I mean, there were times where he did put in some good challenges, and again, his work off the ball was good, but his work on the ball throughout the whole game was just piss poor. And again, I don't like going in for the players, and I don't like being negative about the way we play and the way our players play, but today Fred was at his worst. Yeah. And it's frustrating to see, because I like Fred. I'm a big fan of him, but he was off it today. Yeah. Really off.
Your thoughts on the first goal, James? I am sure you have some.
I do. I'm not going to go too harsh on this, because again, every player that plays for Man United, they're one of our own, and that's fine. But I've just never been convinced with Fred, and I think, to echo what Matt said, he's better without the ball. That's not a massive criticism. It's just that I don't trust him with the ball. I don't, it doesn't make any sense, and we've got a midfielder in there that you don't trust to make passes. I understand you've got midfielders that can break up play, and that's their only job. That's fine. Claude Makelele was the exponent of that position of just sitting in front of the back four, and he didn't have to do any of the so-called beautiful stuff in the game. It was get the ball off the opposition and then play a little 6-yard pass to someone else, and they'll do the attacking work. They'll do the stuff that looks lovely. And every time they got a penalty and he hadn't scored in about a year, they'd let him take it out of sheer because they were winning 4-0 every week. Anyway, I digress. That was just silliness on several parts. I mean, Maguire playing it to Fred there, of course. I mean, why does he want it? It's what we're doing is, it's style over substance. And it's this thing that you've got to be seen to be playing out from the back, because it's the hipster thing to do. But I would say, and they said it on commentary as well, even Jermaine Genius pointed this out with his infinite wisdom, there's a time and a place. And everyone has it drilled in them every time. You've got to do it. Look at Guardiola's teams. Look at Klopp's team, right? And stuff like that. They play out from the back. Look at football is evolving. Well, yeah, but be mindful of the fact that if you're being pressed that hard by this Leicester team that never give up, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I said in the group chat, there was lots of stuff flying around in the Devil's Trident group chat today. But the Rodgers came in for a lot of credit, because you know what? He's looked at our team and he's set Leicester up the right way to deal with us. I jokingly said a few weeks ago, I was being very, very flippant about it. But some teams, when they play against United, the mantra should just be, look, just be in the right positions, be disciplined, and just wait for a mistake, because it's going to happen. They're going to pass it to you. Just be rigid. Just be prepared and pounce when you get the ball. Now, that's a very cynical take, and I don't mean that. Obviously, I always say that jokingly, especially after we've done something daft. But, 90% of football is like showing up, being in the right position. Iheanacho, in a hot streak of form, as we pointed out last week, because it's impossible to ignore, was in the right place at the right time. And that pass from Fred was neither here nor there. Don't want to go, like I say, I don't want to go too harsh on Fred, but we're seeing this too often. We've got a midfielder who isn't comfortable passing the ball. It's one of his weaknesses. But to the point about Maguire giving him the ball there to begin with, it's seen as like anti-football to just ping one up the line or something, or try a diagonal ball or something. I don't know, but would you rather be seen to be uncool or unfashionable because you're hitting it a little bit long? It doesn't make you a Sam Allardyce team, by the way. Barcelona killed themselves, if you remember, that 8-2 loss, because it was so indoctrinated into them. We've got the ball in front of our own goal, we've got to play it short. Got to play it short. If our life depends on it, play it short. We cannot be seen to be playing it 20 yards, even if it's a purposeful pass to a fullback or whatever. No, we'd rather die. And die they did. I can't, it's one of those things I can't stand about football. Matt always grills me about it. If he sees, if we're watching football and a keeper plays a short pass to someone, he's like, oh, you don't like that, do you? And it's like, well, no, hang on, no. I just think to do it at all costs is costly, and Fred made a big mistake, and we paid for it.
You got to have the players to pull it off. I think that's the key thing, and we arguably don't. But you could start carting the excuses out of Thursday night and just general fatigue with Fred, especially with how much he's played recently. I mean, he's been the one that kind of has stuck in the side, but I was surprised and a little bit disappointed today to see Fred and Matic in the same team rather than McTominay with one of them. I just feel like every game that they play together feels like it's a poor performance, and I can't quite remember which ones they've played together, but yeah, I've just got it in my head that they're not a good combination, and it must be for a reason, because I grimace every time I see it. I don't know if it's something in the balance of it as well, the two left-sided players, which arguably isn't a problem if it's two right-footed players, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. That it feels unbalanced, and I think Scott McTominay would have been a better option there, even though he didn't have a great game when he came on anyway, and I don't know. We're struggling in central midfield, even though we had Pogba and Van der Beek back today, but they weren't. Van der Beek was playing Bruno's position and didn't really get in the game again. Pogba was alright, but again, they had an hour each in them, didn't they? Them subs were quite clearly premeditated that, Pogba and Van der Beek only had an hour in them. So I think they were coming whatever the situation, which is probably why Fred survives, because there's no one to bring on for him, because Van der Beek and Pogba had to come off, really, didn't they?
Yeah. Do you not think
fitness-wise?
Do you not think there might have been an argument to maybe have Pogba sit back with Matic and then have Van der Beek in the middle, and then maybe have Diallo come in on the left?
I don't know.
I don't think that might have been like. Obviously, if you're talking about fitness levels and like talking about people needing rest, Pogba played 30 minutes, or played 45 minutes midweek, and then Matic hasn't played for a full game. Again, you got two freshest guys. Diallo's obviously very young and obviously not played a lot of game time. He could have easily come into the team and actually done a job and actually played like the majority of the game. It just, I don't know. It feels like almost like Solskjaer set us up to fail with the team we put out. I mean, on paper, it's a decent team, but yeah, when you take into consideration, like you said, stuff like Fred literally playing so many minutes, it would have made more sense to maybe just. I mean, obviously, if Solskjaer felt like it could take the risk of putting these players in there for this kind of game and setting up that lineup, then why not take a risk of putting Diallo in there?
I just don't think he thinks he's ready, and Martial and Greenwood there, I think, I don't think there's that much need for him to, and mostly because I don't think he wants Pogba in central midfield when he's not fully fit. However many minutes he's got in him, it's going to take him. You have to do more working back and forth, especially with Matic next to him, because Matic's legs have clearly gone. He needs someone that will will run next to him. Probably why Fred played, but you could argue that McTominay could do an equally good job of, doing the running for him. But I mean, we came back into it before we get to any more of the negative stuff. We did get back into it. We didn't show a lot up until this point, and it was like 38th minute when we came back in. But again, decent player from Pogba down the left, and he's been quite suited to playing on that left flank. Nice little ball across. Donny obviously gets a shout to leave it, and Greenwood finishes it in the way that we expect Mason Greenwood to finish. And it's good that he's got another goal, and I don't think the monkey's off his back as such, because people are still going to point to his league record this season. I mean, his goal scoring record in the league last season was great for what was essentially only half a season. But he's still going to get it levelled at him that he hasn't scored enough in the Premier League this year, even though he has contributed in the FA Cup run not so far, just in the FA Cup run, full stop. But yeah, decent finish that, James.
It was a great goal. But if aliens came down and said, show me what against the run of play is,
yes,
I'd show them that goal. And then I'd go, why do you keep coming back? And why do you want to know about stuff like this?
Why is it specifically about football and United?
Yeah, it's almost as if they're a figment of my imagination to bolster an analogy. But no, it was a good goal. Yeah, there's definitely against the run of play though, because we were awful until that point, and then the ball sort of went out wide. I think it was Pogba that played the pass. Am I right? And Van der Beek with a clever dummy. Because, credit where it's due. I don't know if he got the shout. I'm assuming he did. Sometimes you see players do that kind of dummy, and you think, I mean, was it? It was a game, I think it was against Milan, or I'm not sure, but someone just dummied it for no reason, and it was like, there was no one remotely close to them they could have took the shot on. I want to say it was Pogba, I'm not sure. Anyway, in this case, the dummy paid off, and Greenwood really, really overdue a goal. Well, not really, really. A few weeks ago, scored against Liverpool, but as you say, there's always question marks, and to an extent there should be for Manchester United strikers. Yes, he's young and he's had personal issues, all that kind of thing, but you set that aside, and strikers should always be looking at their goal tallies and trying to improve on them. So it's the kind of thing that motivates Harry Kane, you can tell, it kind of probably keeps him up at night. As well as his newborn, or whatever we mentioned last week. But you know what I mean? It's that thing about the single-mindedness about goals. Very relieved that Greenwood did get on the score sheet. But just, yeah.
It was in vain in the end.
It was.
I don't know if I'm being harsh on us in saying that. I don't think... Did we create anything before that? I can't remember anything noteworthy, chance-wise.
I think the only chance we really got was the Maguire header from a corner, which, again, wasn't really challenging at all for Schmeichel. And I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but do you think that Maguire was really on edge today? And he could tell he was playing against his old team. Everything that he did, he was getting so being captain. Obviously, he's gonna lead the way, and he's gonna be venting his frustration on people and pulling them up on the mistakes. But I feel like today was more of a personal thing for him. The fact that we actually lost to him at the King Power. I think you could tell there were bits where he was getting so frustrated with a lot of players around him, and him and Fred had a proper to do on the pitch.
I didn't see that.
Well, they did, and I think it was the second Leicester goal where Fred actually ran into. I don't think it was Maguire. I think it was Lindelof who actually ran into him, ended up clashing into him. But after that, you could see Maguire was just ripping them both. What the fuck are you both doing? This is ridiculous. And we're probably going to get into the second goal in a second. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you got to give credit where it's due with Maguire. He's been great recently. And again today, he didn't have a terrible game, but you could tell today really, really affected him a lot and hit him harder than it probably would do the rest of the team. Yeah,
he was quite clearly frustrated today, Maguire. I mean, he got his customary yellow card from, I don't know if that was from arguing with the ref or just one of his clumsy fouls he clearly lost his temper a little bit and just left a little bit on someone. But I don't know. I don't know if it was necessarily because it was Leicester or just because of how frustrated he was with our performance. I mean, I fucking can't even think of what I want to say about any of this shit today.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's been a while since we've been in this position where a loss has actually been an important part of our season for us. Like the last time was obviously the exit out of the Champions League, which is obviously massive for us. And again, this is another drop out of a competition that we really should be winning. Like if you look at the teams still left in the competition, we had an.
I don't know if we should say we should be winning.
No, but I mean, like, our route to the final. Again, like Southampton was a team we know we can beat.
Yeah, there's a route to the final, but I don't know whether you should say we should be winning it.
Well, it's a cup competition. We know we can beat City. We know we can beat City. We know we can beat Chelsea.
So can win. I'm not trying to correct. I'm just saying.
No, but what I'm saying is,
saying
like,
should is
on paper we know we can do that, and like we've seen it. We can beat City. We know we can beat City. So what's to say we couldn't have actually gone and won this? It's just that's what's frustrating. The fact that we know we can do better, and we've fallen at a hurdle that is not even that high. Is it really?
No, I mean Leicester are a decent side, aren't they? But I don't know. It's just my annoyance has come back out now, hasn't it? This is how I felt after the game, and I weren't really speaking much for the first hour. But now we're like 3 hours later, and I'm still kind of lost for words because it was that sort of performance, wasn't it? It was just deflating, I think it is, and just we've seen it time and time again in important games. It's on par, I think, with the Chelsea game last year in the semi-final, where we just didn't turn up for the semi, did we? And we were just awful. And there was a couple of selections pre-game where you're like, I'm not sure about that. That might come to bite us in the arse. I can't remember who it was at the time, to be honest. But I remember the selection being a thing. And yeah, today just feels like we've let ourselves down, like massively, after a decent result in midweek. And I think I was pinning everything on, getting to this international break and still being in all the cup competitions and being like a really comfortable second. And I had my positive head on from that. And it's just knocked me back a little bit, I think. But, I will get over it, don't worry. Go on, James.
No, as you said, a positive result midweek, but the performance was pretty garbage. And I think we've had one of these sort of results. I don't want to say it's been coming, but here it is on our laps, and what do you do with it? But you mentioned Maguire there. Yeah, he was off it, and his personal, you could tell. I don't think it was quite Rooney returning to Everton, because he had a thing, didn't he? He didn't like playing against Everton. It sort of affected him. Maguire, he was sort of at times prowling our defensive half like an agitated Phil Mitchell, and he really needs to put that to one side, doesn't he? Because you're the captain of any club, really. Be the example out there. Try not to let it affect you in that way. And he was you want fire in the belly, you want that kind of thing. I mean, Ferdinand would always be on Twitter talking about like, rival fans, it gets me going, it's the fuel that gets me going, and all of that. And you want to see that, but Maguire
it's a bit strange though without the home crowd there, though.
Yeah, clearly without the fans, but his teammates.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's his ex-teammates. Yeah, that's the big thing. It's like one thing you can like kind of relate it to is like imagine playing like five-a-side or playing football against someone you used to play against in high school, and you've not played against him for years, and you're like, I don't want to look shit in front of this guy who always thought I wasn't great in high school, and you want to make sure you come out on top against these people, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And when you're playing against someone like Vardy, who will get the better of you the majority of the time, it's always going to be tough to kind of keep a level head in them kind of situation and not let the occasion take you.
It is, but let me put it like this: he's been invited to the school reunion, and all his old mates have got decent jobs, and they're doing well for themselves, and they won a title once. He weren't there then, but you know what I mean. And he's got to show up with Victor Lindelof on his arm, right? So he's going to make the best of a bad situation. Don't make me look a mug in front of my old friends. And it's
I don't think Lindelof was fine.
No,
today,
I mean, that's
anyway.
completely an analogy. Lindelof was all right.
Best players at the
People listening, that was an analogy that off the top of my head, Lindelof was actually quite good today. But you get my sentiment. At the start of the game, he's gone in there thinking, oh, Lindelof's going to show me up here. And in the chat, we were talking about Maguire. We're all Maguire fans. We're fans of all the players and everything. There's no like sort of bitterness or anything. We're calling Fred out for making some mistakes, which rightfully, it's not personal. It's just this was your one job to pass to your teammates, and you done messed it up. So we're a little upset with you. But the thing about Maguire, one of our friends, Ben, put in the group that, if Maguire's not totally on his game, it can be... There's an awkwardness to his game, and Vardy, who clearly knows him well, was able to exploit him a couple of times. Fleet of foot against Maguire, and sometimes he's just sort of stuck, really.
Yeah, he was running with his kind of backtracking, weren't he? And he just did him. That was after, I think, after 2-1, weren't it? And it could have made it 3-1.
Yeah.
You're surprised that Vardy hasn't finished that one, but for the second one, again, Fred comes under pressure. Well, comes under criticism for it, but mostly Matic just got played around him way too easily, didn't it? And I think that's his age and his legs kind of showing now. In that there was no pressure on the ball at all, was there? Because either Matic wasn't quick enough, or Fred just reacted slowly as well after the 1-2. But Tielemans got it through way too easily. Decent shot. I mean, I don't think you're expecting necessarily Henderson to save it, because I think he did well, but he shouldn't have got to that position so easily, because he just had the freedom of about 10-15 yards, didn't he, to get his shot off, which is again disappointing. And it just as we kind of got ourselves back in the game, we let ourselves down pretty quickly again, and I had a bit of negative head on during the game today, because it just felt like we were one that we weren't going to turn around just because of how poor we were in possession and stuff. So as soon as they put that one in, I was like, it's going to be one of those days. It's not going to go for us, this one. I think there's only so many times you can come back from behind, and how well you can come back from behind. I mean, if we'd have got back from 2-1 down against Leicester to win, that would have been impressive. But it didn't feel like it was coming, and it went downhill from there. Your thoughts on that goal, Matt? Could Henderson done any better? I don't think so.
No, I can't. To be fair, I can't really fault a lot of Henderson's play today. He must be frustrated, because there are 3 goals that weren't his mistakes, but obviously they go against his record, and he can't do anything about that. And to be fair, this is probably going to be his last game now, because De Gea is going to come back after the international break, and he's going to come back into his place.
Maybe not.
I think he will.
He could have come back in today, couldn't he, De Gea?
No, but I think we. Well, I said this on the last podcast. I didn't think he was going to come back in today.
I thought De Gea would come back in today, and he obviously didn't do.
I thought they'd be giving De Gea a bit more time, let him go do his international duties, come back, and then take his place back in the team. It wouldn't surprise me if De Gea comes straight back into the team after the break. Not because Henderson's not done a bad job, because we've already touched on this, and we're not going to go over it again because there's no point. But I feel for Henderson in this case, because he did everything he could for all 3 goals, really.
Yeah, but
I mean, being caught off with the header for the last goal. Like, if I was Hendo, I'd be absolutely livid with McTominay for the way he went about that, and his positioning wasn't fantastic in dealing with the header. But again, there's not a lot he really could have done unless he was stood at the back post. But as a goalkeeper, why the fuck would you be stood at the back post? Wouldn't make any sense. So again, Hendo did everything he could, and I'm not annoyed at him at all, and I feel for him quite a lot with it. I think if United would have come out in the second half, having made the substitutes that they made later on in the second half, I might have felt a bit more optimistic about what we were doing. But because we came into the second half 1-1, same players that started the first half, you're thinking, okay, we're at square one here. We didn't have the best first half. Give it 10 minutes. See what happens, see if we can click and we start to get that spark back. But after not doing and then going another goal down, it was just that was it. Then you were thinking, right, well, there's no way we're going to come back into this unless something drastic has to change.
Yeah, and it didn't really. I mean, I thought we looked all right when the subs came on. I think there was a decent instant impact in that we looked like we had a bit more impetus and there was a bit more. We looked like we were clicking a little bit more, but I think that kind of fizzled out as well, and the mistakes still started creeping in from the players that came on in the place of people that were making mistakes in the first place. So, I mean, a lot of the players that were, well, one of the players that was a problem, Fred, stayed on anyway, so that didn't resolve that issue. But there were still misplaced passes. There was Bruno looked all right. I think I agree that he looked all right, but even there were still misplaced passes from him that could have been and should have found their man, but he didn't find them. Not much more to add for me. I'm done with this game personally because I don't know. It's done my head in today a little bit. What about you, James? What do you think? Do you think the subs added anything? Do you think it made a difference? I've seen a lot of commentary saying that the substitution approach was ruined our flow, which I'm not sure really had much flow before the subs came on anyway. So I can't agree with that person, but I've seen a few people say it.
We didn't have a flow at any real point in the game until, funnily enough, the subs did come on, and for a few minutes there, only a few minutes, mind you, we looked better, and that's not saying much, but it started to resemble more. I don't want to say like the actual team, but then like Tellez didn't really do a lot today, did he? I don't think he was particularly bad, but he didn't really do a lot. And then Shaw came on, and he was instantly involved with stuff, like he has been the past few weeks. Bruno comes on instead of Van der Beek, which is the natural order of things. Cavani came on, again, more like the natural order of how the team should look week in, week out, big game or not. So it was baffling though. And like I said in the chat, it's the first time, I know rules are different now, but it's certainly the first time I've seen Man United make 4 changes at the same time with half an hour to go in a game. Oh, hang on, can I just rewind? That's the first time I've seen Man United make 4 changes at the same time. Have we ever made 4 changes at the same time? I doubt it, unless it's a friendly.
Yeah, not competitively, I wouldn't imagine.
So it was interesting on that scale, but the team to begin with going in, the starting 11, I looked at that and I sort of smiled enigmatically to myself as that team was released. Because the thing is, we've seen a lot of these players. It's exciting to see them. Van der Beek, Pogba in the... Well, it looked as if he was in the number 10 role on the lineup I saw, but clearly was sort of more towards the left.
He was in Rashford's position, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking, okay, here we go. But then at the same time, and again, Martial up top. Okay, then. Okay, what's going to transpire? But we...
It's good on paper.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But then I backpedaled in my mind and I thought, and again, Tellez, you just want to see more of him, don't you? You want to see what he's capable of. But how many of these players have we seen have pretty turgid performances? I want to leave Tellez out of that because he's not been here long enough, really. But yeah, the likes of Pogba about a year or so ago was just treading water, seemingly. Did he want to be here? We wasn't sure. Van der Beek hasn't always covered himself in glory, whether that's obviously lack of minutes, that's lack of fitness and all that's going to play into it, in terms of actually getting into the groove with your teammates. Greenwood recently just not being, at the peak. But Matic and Fred, of course, have just been sort of all over the place in certain games. Wan-Bissaka, you name it, all of them have got a bit of a mistake in them. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute, that could be horrible. I hope this game's not horrible. And little did I know, really. So
that's just how we are, though, isn't it? It's just we could be one thing or the other from one game to the next. And I was fairly optimistic when I saw the lineup. I thought it was bold to leave out Bruno and Shaw, and I understand why you did. I understand that the schedule has been pretty relentless for the last few weeks with the Sunday, Thursday, Sunday sort of vibes, and it's been big games that have drained the players because we've not had a great depth of a bench to call upon. So it's been a lot of the same players kind of seeing out the games. So I could understand why Luke Shaw wasn't playing and Fernandes, but they've been our 2 best players for a good a good while now, and particularly Shaw as well, offering us loads going forward. So I felt it was quite a big game to leave them out. It wasn't against a middling side in Premier League, where you could rotate and make them changes. I thought, like I say, I don't understand it. I was disappointed not to see our best players playing.
Do you not think that the reason why Ollie was doing that, because one of two reasons, right? So you got to think that we've got the international break coming up. We've got quite a lot of players who are going to go off and fulfil international duties. So you got the likes of like Luke Shaw, Rashford for England, but like Fernandes is going to go off and play for Portugal. He's got a lot of players going off to international duty. And he's thinking, right, if I can rest these players today, or they can only play like a bit part, that means at least they've got a bit of rest before they go into international duty, and they're not continuing this run, because it'd be typical for our players to go to do the international break and get injured, and then come back and miss the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can think like that.
I know you can't think like that, but I mean, it'd be stupid to dismiss that completely. But also the fact that I think that he thought, if you would start that lineup, we might be able to go into at least half time with it being like a 0-0, or there being no goals, or maybe there's not a lot of like ground being covered by each team. So then maybe he always had in mind for the last half an hour to bring on them 4 players, and then just sneak that win.
I think,
keep Leicester at bay for 60 minutes, then bring on the big guns, finish the game off, job done. I don't think
you should be even thinking about keeping Leicester at bay, though. It's United, isn't it? You know what I mean? I don't think you go to Leicester and be like, we got to shut them up. You go there and be United rather than thinking about what they're doing, particularly. But I do agree that the subs were premeditated, in a sense that, he probably would have either been hoping that they were ahead or level, and then extra energy boost, extra impetus of putting them on, and that's probably the way you planned it. And it obviously didn't come off, but they've stepped into a side that was losing and was performing badly. It wasn't like, if they'd have got to 1-1, if they were still 1-1 when they came on, I think it might have been a different story.
I think he had an eye on extra time as well, maybe. Nick a goal and then spirit of 99 and all that.
Yeah, I think they're all things that he probably had in mind, but it had already gone wrong by the time they came on. And they did offer a little bit when they came on, but then straight after we conceded the other one, it just killed it, didn't it? So that plan was pretty much out the window. But like I say, hindsight is wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, but I'd like to know how we would have done with our actual first 11 there.
Well, we know we probably would have done a lot better, because our first 11 can beat Leicester quite easily.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, the 11 that he put out should have been good enough, really. But we're relying on the 2 creative players, 2 players that have been out for ages. Like Van der Beek hasn't even played at all up until today. So to bring him back in instead of your best player and expecting him to provide the goods against the team that are 1 point behind you in the league, I don't think that was the greatest move. So I think he would have wanted to bring Pogba on in Milan, and for him to have that much of an impact if it weren't for Rashford's injury. He want to bring them, he want to drip feed them back in, let them go away to an international break, and then start throwing him back in from the start. So I think he's had to rely on Pogba more than he will have wanted to today, by far.
Yeah. So why not start Diallo then?
Because you still need experience, don't you?
But how would you get experience?
My argument for that would be, sorry to jump in, but instead of buying Diallo, then just buy established Premier League level quality in the summer, and then you've got a deep squad that you can pick and choose from, and you can give everybody a rest. And it's the whole thing about squad management. Yeah. But instead, we've got these players, and I like Diallo. I love Diallo. I'm not saying that was a whole hypothetical thing, but I agree. Yeah, Diallo and Van der Beek, they can't get minutes for love nor money at the minute.
No, but
the reason why is, there must be a reason why then, because the quality can't be there. If the trust was there,
but I think when you bring in a new player in, you want to bring him in a side that's performing well, and that gives them confidence, and you get your minutes, you get your build up minutes when the team's performing. Okay. Like when Greenwood came into the side in the summer, more. That was when he properly started getting his chances, weren't it? He was flourishing in a side that was unbeaten in that run, and that was great for him. But then as soon as you start throwing these players into struggling sides and go, sink or swim, often they sink. So I don't think throwing Diallo into the situation where, it's big, high pressure quarter-final against the team just below you in the league, I don't think that's the situation to pile that pressure on him. I just don't. I think you need to do it when the team's performing well, and then you integrate them into a good feeling rather than what it was today.
I get that, but then when you think about the way that Rashford came into the side, like, we were literally at the point where we had no other options. We had to put Rashford in the side, and if you're a quality player and you have talent, you'll make it count, and you'll seize your opportunity, and you'll do that. And Diallo did that when we played against AC Milan. That first half in that game, we were shit. We were terrible. He came on, and he wasn't outstanding, but he saw his opportunity, and he took it. So why not give him that opportunity in a game like this? I mean, he's a fast-paced guy that can cause a lot of trouble. Why not at least give him an opportunity to do that? Because, I mean, again, I don't hate like Van der Beek at all. He's a great player, but nothing that he's done so far for me screams that he deserves to play at all. Whereas Diallo's done more in arguably a third of a game he's played for a game like today.
Yeah,
and I don't know. You know what? You know what I'd have hoped for? You know what? If Mata was fit, that would have been a lovely game for him to play. And the only reason why I say that is because Mata is a seasoned pro, and he probably would have got the job done today.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded seeing him at number 10 today, to be honest.
But again, we can't have him because there's something wrong with him.
But our squad's is pretty deep, isn't it? But we've had injuries, and they've all been injured at the same time, so they're all coming back at the same time, and they're all like at the same sort of fitness level, the ones that we're bringing in. So it's just kind of juggling all them, isn't it? Like, even Martial's missed a few games, last couple of games. Pogba's been out for a while. Van der Beek's been out for a while. Cavani's been out for a while. He was kind of juggling a lot of probably 50%, 60%, 70% fit players.
Yeah, so why not play a Diallo who's fit and can play the game? Can play the whole game if you wanted to.
I'm still sticking by my point.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
That you need to be careful when you put him in.
He's a kid who's hungry for the game though, and you see his performances for the under-21s. He obviously he's not an amateur, is he?
No,
he's obviously a kid who has potential and has talent. So why not just give him that opportunity?
No.
I mean, all it takes is for that one little opportunity for him to get, and he might have turned that game around. I'm not saying that I don't want to really bash into the players, but it's all hindsight's fantastic, isn't it? Because it could have been like, oh, Diallo might have changed the game. He might have been a completely different guy, and we might have won. But I don't know. If, like you've said, if you're trying to manage half a team that have only just come back from injury, but you've got players on the bench who have played recently, why not give them the opportunity to at least play out the majority of the game?
You know what it boils down to? They'd have had half a chance today if they were able to pass to each other properly.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny.
That does make
that's a very important part of the game.
We're sat here not arguing, it's quite a nice debate, but it's like and I agree with you both for what it's worth. I'll be Anthony Impartial today. I'll wear it with pride. But no, they were just useless at times. They really were. And it's like when my dad watches tennis, he gets really, really annoyed sometimes, even if he's not supporting the player in question, if they make an unforced error where they smash it from the serve into the net. And he always says, I'd have got that point, you'd have got that point, you'd have got that point. And you know what we'd have had to have done there? Just stand there, and we'd have got a point. And it's like, all right, but the sentiment is just get the basics right. I don't want to go all Roy Keane, but he's done lie to me. The thing is, yeah, they were shocking, but when it comes to Diallo, we've assembled a squad and I agree with both of you, so I'm just going to put this out there. We've assembled a squad in the summer, and for one reason or another, they didn't want to spend the money to get Jadon Sancho. Okay, it's not my money, but okay, you didn't want to do that. Apparently it was very, very close. I think I mentioned on the podcast before, someone I work with knows. I know Matt has his connections, but someone said, yeah, they could have been talking nonsense, but they said they know someone who's close to that sort of end of things, and said that it was very close, and he put his finger out and did a bit of a millimetre type gesture. It was that close to getting Sancho, but they didn't do that, and they brought in some youngsters instead. So we had Palestri, who was out on loan, and Diallo's come in, but of course, work permit and all the rest of it, so he only came in January. And then Cavani, and everyone knows what we did in the summer, but you putting that squad together, knowing that you're going to get injuries, every team gets injuries, it happens, not all like the sort of thing that Liverpool had, where everyone get injured in the same week or whatever, and plus a COVID season. I'd hate to say it, but it's something like you're going to have those kind of injuries, or, well, illnesses and stuff related to COVID, exposure to COVID, all that stuff. It makes me sick even saying it. But we just seem to be falling into this situation where we've got this threadbare squad almost, or players that, like you say, yeah, it's not... This is why you're both right, because it maybe isn't the right time to throw in someone like Diallo and be like, right, go on, sink or swim. And if we had Palestri, if we'd not sent him out on loan, people might be clamouring for, well, let's see what this kid can do. I was joking with Matt the other day saying, to some extent, it might have been better if we were like 5th in the table or something, because at least then it's like, right, well, it's a lost cause, let's just throw the kids in. I'm joking, and I don't mean that. But with it all being so tight for the race for the top 4, second place, and the competitions were still in, yeah, it's not the time to go tinkering with things. And let's not forget, no one's had a pre-season either. So the more I was going in with a certain point, but I'm actually changing my own perspective in my head now, with debating myself. No change there. So it's frustrating though to just maybe Ollie not wanting to sort of play certain players, but they're sat behind him, and it's not out of the fact he doesn't like them or anything, but it's for the reasons we've mentioned. When other teams that I'm not going to mention, that they've just got all these different pieces of a puzzle that they can, and it all sort of flows the same way. I'm just annoyed, that's all.
Yeah, that's all part of the building process, I suppose. We know we're not the finished article yet. We know that we've got players that are still yet to hit a level, still need integrating and stuff, and I just made the Diallo point based purely on what he was like with Mason Greenwood last year, and he was very careful about when to dip him in and dip him out. There was weeks on end where we didn't see Mason Greenwood. We're all like, why is he not even in the squad? Why? But it's all about managing these young players and having them cope with the adjustments, and you don't want them to have too many big major setbacks and disappointments and stuff early on in the development. So I'm looking at it from Solskjaer's perspective and thinking, judging on what he's done with players previously, I'm not surprised that this is what's happening with Diallo, whether I'm right or Matt's right on this one. Anyway, let's move past this. We're out of the FA Cup, but we are still in the Europa League, which we covered on Thursday's pod. And now we know our opponents. So after the break, we'll come back and talk about that. Hello, it's Simon again. I'm just here to quickly tell you listeners where to find us on social media. We're The Devil's Trident on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at Devil's Trident. You can also keep up to date with us at thedevilstrident.com. Okay, on with the show. Okay, so yeah, the Europa League draw got made on Friday lunchtime. You were right, 12 o'clock. And we know our route to a potential final, if we're going to kid ourselves that we're going to get past a quarter-final, the quarter-final hoodoo that we've got now. No, we've got Granada away first, I believe, and then home second, I think, as soon as we come back from the international break. Happy with that draw. It could have been worse, I think, for that.
I'm ecstatic with that draw because I know a thing or two about Granada. Not to be a football hipster, but
Fred the Weatherman.
Yeah, Granada tonight. Here's a Granada report for you. No, not Fred the Weatherman. Oh God.
No.
Well, for two reasons. One, it's got Fred in the title. Anyway, without
Weatherman in the other one.
Yeah,
and the other one is allegedly.
Let's not. Yeah, without my foam weather map or whatever I used to always wonder how he didn't fall off on that.
I don't think it was foam.
Good balance.
Yeah, according to what I've heard. Anyway, Granada. There's a couple of players that you'll recognise, actually. Do you remember Kennedy that played for Chelsea?
Mr. Kennedy!
Okay, then. And Roberto Soldado plays up front for them.
Big Bobby.
So,
Bobby Soldado, the goal machine.
The ripe old age of 35. And possibly one of my favourite FIFA players ever. As in, he's a player in the game. He's not a person who plays FIFA. Maxime Gonalon. So if I'm virtual David Moyes, he's my virtual Fellaini. On FIFA, through the years since I've been at uni, and that was 10 years ago, I used to buy him every single year because he's a good midfielder. He's got a real face, which is what matters, and he's kept his real face for years, and I've followed his career. So he's ended up at Granada. So we're going to play against him. So I'm just excited to see him in the flesh. I've never seen him play a game, but, so good old Maxime.
Good enough reason to be happy about it. I think it's a quarter-final tie that we really should come through, and I think we can say that about that one. We should come through 2 legs against Granada, 8th in La Liga, I believe you said before. Yeah. So, I think that one is the one everybody's more confident about. Obviously, they made the semi-final draw at the same time, and that one is either Ajax or Roma, so it's kind of good that they're against each other, because that's arguably 2 of the stronger sides left in the competition. One of them's going out in the quarters. But interesting ties if we get through the quarterfinals there. Who would you want, Ajax or Roma?
Well, to be fair, I'm not too worried about the Granada games. I think we should really get through without any sort of real trouble. But so Ajax and Roma. I would like to face Roma really out of the 2.
Okay,
but not that. I think we can beat both, but I think Roma would be nice. Imagine we're getting another 7-2 victory against them. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I think we're all just thinking about past battles with
and
teams that are completely different.
Comes off the bench and just spaffs one at top bin. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But you know what? Do you not think this all kind of might lead up to an all English final?
That is the big Europa League
final.
That is the big Europa League narrative now, isn't it? It's
Ooh.
They do stand a chance, because who did Arsenal get? Slavia or Dynamo? Arsenal, Slavia, Prague. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair, they got another UK team, which are predicted in midweek.
Yeah, and well, if they remain in the tournament, UEFA might kick them out for all the racism they were doing against Rangers, which would be a big thing. I don't know.
Are they gonna like push that as a thing?
People are calling for them to be kicked out, whether or not there was banners outside of Slavia's ground with some of their fans that had a poster that said Glenn Kamara is a N-word. Which doesn't play well into the narrative that they're not racist. Well, I was watching there was interviews with Steven Gerrard and all the Rangers captain and stuff like that today before the Rangers Celtic game, and it I don't think there's much doubt in their minds that happens. So Slavia.
What would that mean though? If Prague got kicked out, would they not give it to Rangers on default?
I don't know.
Would Rangers not go through just for default because they're the last team they played, and obviously they can't just gift Arsenal a victory?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get kicked out on. That's pure speculation.
That's one to watch anyway, because again, that could be quite an important part. I mean, if Rangers manage to find their way back into the tournament and it ends up being Rangers we're facing the final, that'd be a huge thing because they got through on a technicality. That'd be mad.
On a technicality. Then Zagreb, Villarreal. So yeah, Arsenal have got a winnable route to the final, and we have. Although I think our semi-final would be tougher if we got there. So we'll think about all that when we come back. Anyway, after the international break, we're gonna have a couple of weeks off now.
What are you gonna do with your time?
I'm gonna make loads of mock-ups of a United shirts with Team Viewer on the. I'm not really going to do that. I'm going to leave that to other people. But we have got a new sponsor, which finally get rid of these horrible Chevrolet logos.
I don't understand what the big thing about Chevrolet is. I quite like Chevrolet. I mean, I think it's quite nice. I think it adds I don't know. The colour scheme works for me. I think it's quite nice.
It ruins some
why?
shirts.
Why TeamViewer like its main colour's blue? So why? I don't know how it's going to work unless it's for away.
It's all going to be white. It's going to be a white logo, completely white. So
Okay.
You'll see it on the mock-ups that I make over.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty fond of a Chevrolet at the moment.
I think you're reasonably alone in that.
Really?
Yeah, I think if it was just the text, and maybe if the logo was sort of hollowed out, do you know, so it was the outline rather than the big, brassy sort of like Chevrolet logo. When I heard we were getting Chevrolet as a sponsor, I was quite excited because it does look quite cool. But if it were just the text, like Pirelli, I know it's or actually, sorry, if the Chevrolet bit was just a little bit smaller, but no, it has to be the big, the big Lebowski, just sort of all over it. Which
big American logo.
I don't know because I know this is probably a very controversial opinion, but I didn't like the Vodafone.
I loved it.
I thought it was awful.
I wasn't keen on that one.
Did you not? Well, there we go. Well,
just a circle. No.
I bet you hated the Arsenal 0-2 then, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it's fucking rubbish.
I quite like that.
No,
we are not on the same page about
absolutely
sponsors,
pants.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely pants.
Aeon didn't offend me too much.
Oh no, I didn't mind. Yeah, Aeon was quite decent, and it was wasn't too flashy. It was just there.
Really,
fitted.
a shirt sponsor, you just don't want to notice it too much. I don't think.
I don't notice. I take it as part of the shirt now, just because.
Maybe it falls off your shirt because sometimes you buy fake ones. Ooh.
Excuse me, the one I'm wearing right now is not fake.
Because he had to buy it again because he got the fake one first.
It says Chevrolet.
Okay, right. I can't be spending £60 on a shirt.
There's a lot of money, isn't it?
Twice a season.
Don't
tell home and away shirt.
Don't tell that to our Kitbag Sports.
Well, if they're going to sort us out and I get a discount, then I will gladly buy the real ones. To be fair, I feel like you've really put me in a shit position here. I've got to try and explain myself why I buy fake shirts. I don't like glaziers. There we go. Glazers are twats. I don't want to. No profit for them guys.
Right, I think that will get you out of a lot of dirt anyway, so don't worry about it. Right, yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go and get over this heartbreak of today.
I've got half a bottle of red wine to drink, and I intend to finish it.
Okay, that should do the trick, and you wake up even more.
That's tomorrow's match problem. It's not my current problem, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Until after the international break, then. We have been the Devil's Trident podcast. I have been Simon. He has been Matt.
You stay classy, world.
And he has been James.
He couldn't pass up that opportunity to do that, could he? Yes, I have been James, yes.
Okay, and we will see you in a few weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.